Yeah.
And I don't give a fuck about the drama. I mean, the drama is such like, grow up, give me a fucking break. I don't give a fuck about your judgmental opinion because you yourself are not on high. Unless you're not, are you tweeting your hate at me from a phone that was mined from lithium by people that were trapped? What are you talking about? Who made your car? Where'd you get gas? Who made your clothes?
Comedians are some of the most sensitive people alive. Like, compared to nearly every other entertainer in the world, they seem to get the most rattled in the face of negative criticism, which is just completely ironic considering that they've all made careers out of negatively criticizing just about everything under the sun. Like, it's been one whole month since the Saudi Arabian Comedy Festival happened, and some of the biggest comedians that performed there are still melting down about it on their podcasts, almost acting shocked that their actions may have actually had irreversible long-term consequences. For example, Bill Burr still can't believe that he was negatively criticized for taking money from the Saudi government, even though he spent years on his podcast morally grandstanding against entertainers who did exactly that.
Beyonce and Mariah Carey actually did private New Year's gigs for $1 million. Did New Year's gigs for Gaddafi's kids. Can you fucking believe that? How much fucking money do you need to make, you know? You're going to take a gig where you're going to go dance like a goddamn fucking clown for a mass murderer's kids? And then you take that fucking blood money. And what he's done, you couldn't remember that he claimed he was behind the Pan Am bombings that killed fellow Americans? The fuck is wrong with you?
And if you've been following his crash out at all, then you'd know that he's essentially exhausted every single excuse that he could think of to justify his performance there. And since that obviously didn't work, he's now just resorted to threatening the comics who criticized him for going. But just the other day, Bill Burr was on his podcast insinuating that he would verbally eat Marc Maron alive if he ever catches him in public.
The inner web of lies. I'm still thinking about that bullshit from a few weeks ago. That was a fucking, what a bunch of fucking, that was one of the hardest things ever, to keep my mouth shut and just not trash every one of those fucking cunts. Am I looking forward to running into a few people. Hey, what's the latest? What's the latest on you caring about? It's weird. All of a sudden you don't care anymore? What happened? You flapping your fucking goddamn arms up and down. What happened? What's your cause this month to help sell whatever project you're on, you anyway.
And Bill Burr saying this about Maron is just so funny, because Maron told maybe 3 little jokes about the Riyadh Comedy Festival on stage, and he didn't even mention anyone's names. It seems that Bill is just coping with the fact that his audience is Brendan Schaubifying him in real time, especially after he came home and exploded on his fans in front of a live Conan O'Brien audience and on his own podcast twice.
How dare you go to that place and make those oppressed people laugh, you fucking piece of shit! I can't believe you went to that place I can't find on a map. And this bot said I was upset about it. So now I am.
Like, he totally butchered his response to the backlash and is now just taking it out on Maron because he's apparently an easy target for these comedians to go after. Like, in the last couple weeks, Maron was mentioned by name on 3 huge separate podcasts. And whenever his name's brought up, it's very clear that he's gotten under all of their skin, because they almost always just insult Maron without even a hint of a punchline. Like on the Flagrant episode where they addressed the Riyadh Festival, when Maron's name came up, Schulz and his designated butt wiper, Akaash, were furious with Marc Maron, saying he can't sell out shows outside of Brooklyn, that none of his fans are minorities, and that he's just jealous that he didn't get the invitation to Riyadh.
Kind of like the local politics of how
that's the thing, when these fucking comics are like trying to be self-aware when they're shitting on us. They're like, just for the record, we didn't get an invite to the Riyadh.
We know you didn't. Yeah. You can't perform outside of Brooklyn.
Exactly. Like,
you do musical theater crowd work.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, your comedy isn't good. Why would they want you?
Look at that audience of yours. I bet I can count the minorities on one hand.
What a sacrifice to not go to the festival you weren't invited to.
Yeah, they don't know you exist. It's not because you're a problem. It's not because you speak truth to power.
Yeah.
It's because you speak truth to upper middle class white people and 10 minorities who want to fuck upper middle class white people.
Just pat yourselves on the back. back.
Yeah.
That's it.
Go to a Marc Maron show. Count the minorities.
Exactly.
I doubt you get. I doubt you get to the second hand.
Yeah, where are those minorities he cares so much about?
And just remember, guys, that Marc Maron literally said 3 light jokes on stage about the comedians going. And when you go back and watch that again, all this stuff seems disproportionately aimed at Mark.
You know, like, from the folks that brought you 9/11, 2 weeks of laughter in the desert. Don't miss it. I mean, the same guy that's going to pay them is the same guy that paid that guy to bonesaw Jamal Khashoggi and put him in a fucking suitcase. But don't let that stop the yucks. It's going to be a good time. Full disclosure, I was not asked to perform.
And that was literally all Marc Maron said about the festival in public. Just some light jokes that contained pretty reasonable criticism. And again, nobody was mentioned by name. So it just seems pretty weird to make him the face of the people exposing the Saudi Arabian festival. The only logical explanation that can explain this is that it all leads back to Joe Rogan. You see, Marc Maron and Joe Rogan have been mortal enemies since the early 90s. So by publicly bashing Marc Maron, they're subtly siding with their Lord and Savior, Joseph H. Rogan. And all the Rogan Sphere guys are shamelessly doing this, despite some of them agreeing with everything Mark said on their own podcasts. Like just the other day on Theo Von's podcast, Andrew Santino took issue with Marc Maron and how he criticizes other comedians, speaking as if he was some pure comedy angel who would never support comics taking others down in the community, as he puts it.
Oh, how was the comedy festival you guys went to? Was it good?
In Riyadh?
Yeah.
Wild, dude. It was crazy. Well, the backlash on the internet was even more insane. It was insane.
That stuff seemed ridiculous to me, though.
Well, dude,
did you feel like it was?
Everyone is a walking contradiction, and there's a million miles of hypocrisy in people's arguments. And the fact that the community was attacking each other was very strange to me.
Yeah, I haven't delved into it.
Well, it's fine. People can feel how they feel about it. That's fine. That the world will keep spinning. When someone's like, you know, they're all terrorists, and you're like, 8 million people in Riyadh are all of them are terrorists? What are you talking about? And they go, well, they did 9/11. And you're like, I thought we said we did 9/11. What are you I thought, remember when you guys were all like, we did it? I thought they said we did. I just think
we all know who did it.
I think there's a lot of walking contradictions.
Oh, 100%.
Well, so it's hard for me to have, it's hard for anyone to yell so loud about something to me, because I go, well, nothing is perfect, but if your intentions are right, if your intentions are good, I do believe there's hope for growth, and people are allowed to be mad about it. And what I don't like is in the community, stabbing and going after other people in the community, because I just think that's an odd move. I don't understand it. Go off. If that's how you want to live your life, enjoy the drama. But I don't give a fuck about your judgmental opinion, because you yourself are not on high.
The way that Andrew Santino acts so high and mighty here is just so funny. Because if you guys remember, Santino seemed pretty giddy and excited while Marc Maron was bashing Joe Rogan and Austin's style of comedy. But now that Mark called him and the other Saudi Arabian comics out for performing there, now all of a sudden Santino's against everything Mark does, and now is the time that he's heroically standing up for the comedy community, along with all his poor stand-up friends that fell victim to Marc Maron's jokes. Like, he even brought up how Maron joked about Theo Von in his latest special, which everyone but Theo seems to be offended by. I mean, Joe Rogan literally blamed that joke to be the reason why Theo Von was sent into a spiral of depression. And Andrew Santino clearly thinks that Mark crossed the line with that joke. But funnily enough, the best response to it all was by Theo himself, who reacted to it with honestly a hilarious and perfectly put response.
People sent me, there was a clip from Marc Maron where he like said something about me in his comedy special.
Yeah.
And it was like Theo would interview Hitler.
Right.
And I'm like, well, it's kind of crazy that you say that.
Well, he's dead, first of all. You can't.
Well, also, the Nelk Boys just interviewed him. So what are we even talking about?
What are we talking about? Right.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's the other side of the Maron coin, which like Mark loves to start shit. That's like his
He
whole
loves
thing.
this right here. I shouldn't even have brought it up.
Say, yeah, we don't have to. But I mean, he loves to start shit. Like that's a part of his discourse is talking shit. And a piece of me knows when we talk shit about people we love, and we joke around about each other, there's love behind it. And I don't know if there's love behind with you and him. I don't know your relationship. The internet seems to know, they think they know fucking everyone's relationship, which is even more mind-boggling. But I do think
yeah, it's always been fine.
I always think if you joke about somebody, if it's funny, and it's in jest, it's obvious. And if it's not, it tends to be a little bit more obvious. And so I don't understand that kind of approach. I don't get it. But I also know we can all touch a lot of bases, right? Like in the sense of like, I've known Marc for a long time. He fucking annoys the shit out of me.
Andrew Santino seems like one of those guys who will say pretty much anything to please whoever's sitting in front of him on any given day. Like, he literally criticized Theo Von for having Donald Trump and other politicians on the podcast not even that long ago.
Yeah.
And I saw that they had Bernie on Schulz's show.
Yeah.
What the fuck is going on?
He's not coming here.
Bernie? I just don't think we want politicians on the show.
No.
Yeah,
We shouldn't replace it. This should be its own thing.
Yeah.
This is its own form of music.
But now that Theo's sitting directly across from him, all of a sudden he's on Theo's side and is against any comedian that pokes fun at others in the community of the 250. So this whole episode with Theo Von made Santino come across as pretty two-faced and rehearsed.
Yeah.
And I don't give a fuck about the drama. I mean, the drama is such like, grow up, give me a fucking break. But you're right. You don't deserve to be attacked on a special. That's very strange. I think even Marc would admit, someone I've known for a long time, not been close to, but we've known him from because of the store. Someone who I think he himself would admit, I would hope, that wasn't the best move to put you in a special. I mean, why? Why? You know what I mean? Sometimes I write jokes about my dad and I'm like, why did I put that in a special? You know what I mean? Like a friend or a colleague for that matter, because you're probably not friends, but I just don't know. I don't know if it's necessary.
Maybe he just meant it as something funny, you know?
Well, look, yeah, the core of it was probably him trying to write a joke about it, but I don't think you're close enough for that to have that kind of, you know.
Or maybe to say, hey, what do you think about this?
That would have been great. If you say to somebody, hey man, are you cool with me doing this joke?
Yeah.
Or I'm just letting you know I'm doing this joke.
So just based on those few clips played so far, it's pretty obvious how butthurt a lot of comedians can get at the smallest amount of reasonable criticism. But the fact that they're some of the softest people alive shouldn't be that shocking. Especially when you think about how their line of work literally requires them to make everyone in the audience so happy to the point where they burst out in laughter. Like they deeply care what everyone thinks about them. And they will go to extreme lengths to try and fix and repair their public image wherever necessary. For example, one of the comedians from the Riyadh Festival, Aziz Ansari, tried to donate his earnings from Saudi Arabia to the Human Rights Watch Foundation. And the Human Rights Watch hilariously denied it all, stating that if they accepted any of that money, that it would compromise their independence. So despite the Saudi comedians trying to repair their public perception, the damage seems to be irreversible. Another comedian from the lineup, Whitney Cummings, has continued to make things worse for herself as well, because she apparently just deleted that entire portion of her podcast from a few weeks ago, where she called her whole audience racist for calling out the Riyadh thing.
Like, you think that the people of Saudi Arabia and the Saudi government all share... Okay, so you also believe that the Chinese government and the Chinese people are exactly the same. It's just racism. I think it took me a second, because when people are going like, oh, you're doing something unethical, I'm like, oh, these must be ethical people, let me listen. And then you're like, oh no, you're just racist.
And now in her most recent episodes, she's claiming that she was right all along about everything she said, without addressing any of the deletions.
Our show's in the news this week. We really break news over here. Hey everyone, I just am going to start by saying I righter than I've ever been. Sorry. Look, I'm realizing when someone is mad at you on the internet, disagrees with you on the internet, I'm not, honestly, you haven't seen what I've seen, and I haven't seen what you've seen. So there's no way either of us know who we're fighting or what set of beliefs and evidence we're fighting. Like, I realized, like, because last week, I said what I said, and I said, and people are like, yeah, how dare you say we're racist? I'm like, I didn't call you racist. Who are you? I'm talking about the messages I read. I don't think you were one of them. But did you see the message? If you saw the messages I read, you would have, I think, said the same thing.
So I think it's safe to say now that if anyone has been Brendan Schabified, it's Whitney Cummings. Because at this point, she's literally the female version of Schwab. I mean, she's buying so many botted views on her podcast lately that she's surpassing the biggest podcasts in the world with fake views. And they're most certainly botted, okay? Because if you go in and click on one of these podcasts and scroll down, you'll see that there are barely 1,000 comments and likes for every single one of them, which is just unheard of on a video with over 1 million views. The comments that are there, though, are all ones critical of Cummings. Very Schwab-esque, I must say. So I think it's not a reach to say that a lot of the comedians from the Riyadh Comedy Festival are only making things worse for themselves when they speak publicly about the backlash. Because up until now, everything that they've said has angered their fans even more so than before. If anything, they should take some notes from Matt McCusker and how he spoke about the festival. Because despite not being invited, what he had to say about the controversy was overall perfect, as he admitted to not even knowing too much about what goes on down there, and that he would even probably go himself since he wouldn't know any better.
The Riyadh Comedy Festival, like, you didn't go?
No, I didn't even get invited. I didn't even get invited.
Right, yeah.
But if you were invited.
To be honest, I swear to God, if I'm being totally honest, Shane told me he got invited, and I was like, oh, like the Saudi, what do you like? Is that like a go to the troops kind of thing? And he's like, no, the government
right, I saw
is
that
sponsoring
clip.
it. And I was, I don't know much about geopolitics, so I was like, aren't they like our allies? And he was like, dude, they, not really. And I was like, oh yeah, right, they were the 9/11 hijackers.
I mean,
so I don't know, man. I didn't know, for real. I honestly didn't know doing stand up in Saudi Arabia was such a hot button issue. And then so I'm so glad I didn't get invited, because I might have done it. Just like if like, hey, your agents call you up like, it's a great opportunity. I'd be like, yeah, okay.
Right.
You guys, that sounds good, So thank God. I honestly, I'd love to say like I would never do that, but I might have done it if I'm being honest.
And I'm sure that was the exact case with the majority of the performers on the lineup. Like, they most certainly didn't know the extent of what goes on over there with the Saudi Arabian regime. But instead of shamelessly admitting that, like McCusker did here, they chose to pretend to know what they were talking about. They defended themselves and the actions of the Saudi Arabian regime, and effectively destroyed their reputations, while at the same time showing everyone how easy it is for them to get triggered. But anyways, guys, with that being said, that's it for the video. Thanks so much for watching.